All right. Happy, healthy, beautiful day,
And you're going to
guys.
start again.
No, we're on. We are live. Happy, healthy, beautiful day to you guys. It's happy hour today with you guys. Hope all is amazing in your world. Isa's thinking maybe I should restart the live, but I'm saying
No, not at
cheers.
all.
Cheers to you all
Cheers.
joining us live on Instagram and, of course, watching us on Facebook and hopefully on YouTube, our new YouTube channel. We're going to be more active on there. But on this quick live, guys, we're going to be talking about happiness. Do we have all the answers? No. Do I sometimes claim to have a lot of answers? Isa would say yes.
Absolutely. No, it's not even a yes. It went past that already. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And so I
absolutely.
fall in the same trap as well,
We
married
do, we
life.
do. But I was listening to a podcast yesterday and I said to Isa, honey, we have to do a live around this because it really affected me and it made me realize about what are some of the most important factors in creating more happiness in our lives. So I said, honey, we need to do a live on this. We're not experts in the happiness space. We're doing pretty okay when it comes to happiness, but every master was once a disaster. So everyone has a journey that they're on. But listening to this live or this podcast, which is from Ed Milet, was interviewing a gentleman who is the director of the longest human study, that's still ongoing since 1938, which is a study around adult development and actually what was happy making for adults from different backgrounds. And some of the revelations on the study was pretty awesome. And we thought, you know what, I want to just chime in and share some ideas on what we took away from the study. So welcome, guys. I see Paul in the house. I see Frank in the house as
We
well.
can see people that are on Facebook and on our
Mm.
YouTube, but welcome everybody.
Welcome.
And I think it was nice as well because you came home and said, like, babe, just Eric loves podcasts. I don't listen to many of them, but whenever Eric has something amazing, he share with me and I listen to. And I found that it was very fascinated first because it was a very old study that is still going on. So since 1938, like I I don't remember. I actually don't have anyone in my life that is this old that I can think of right now, and it's still going. And I think it's fascinating because life changes, the world changed. So what made people happy before may be exactly what is now making people unhappy because we live on this state of anxiety, this state of always be chasing something. There is always something to accomplish. We have always to have these goals, and many people base their happiness on the attempt and the idealization that they have to get somewhere. Whenever I get there, I'm going to be happy. And I think that's something that he addresses, isn't it? Like that these material wealth that people make these very false association. And can you just share a little bit about how they actually put this study together, because he explains that on the podcast as well.
So the doctor, a guy called Dr. Waldinger, is the director now. And this study started in 1938. So the people who started this, can you mute that, honey?
That's mine.
These
Yeah,
interruptions are unacceptable. But they started this study in or around, ironically enough.
I knew it was my mom.
Did you know, ironically enough, they started this study the year after Think and Grow Rich, the book, was actually published, which is interesting because that was a study of over 500 of the most successful people on the planet at the time, and was an observation of what they did, what their philosophies were, and what really drove them in their lives. So I think that's not a coincidence that actually study started
maybe
a year,
inspire them. Yeah.
maybe after that study. But either way, look, what the concept of the study was it took two main groups of people, a group of people, of men, of course, because the women obviously just weren't included in the study
Back then.
back then. All right. But it's been a study of two different categories of men, people from wealthy backgrounds who are
Students
from the
from
best.
Harvard, actually, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, it's a
sophomore. Yeah, from
it's a Harvard study. So yeah, it was students that had really privileged backgrounds, that maybe had wealthy families, versus men who were actually in tough situations, maybe poor neighborhoods. Actually, I think they got quite a few young guys from Boston, which ironically enough, a lot of those guys could have been Irish. So you're talking about generations of repression and having tough times, like back in the day, like when there was the slaves were sent over to the US, like back in the 1500s. So a lot of the bloodline there has come from slavery. So for years and years and years, maybe this just overview on life is a little harder, and we've got to really graft to get ahead in life because it's a struggle. So they took these two demographics, put them on this study, and some of what the feedback was pretty mind-blowing. So do you want me to go on with that?
No, you can. Yeah, there is a few points here that I actually took that I would like to mention, but it's actually good to think about some of them, what is still relevant. But yeah, go on.
Oh, okay.
Go.
Finishing my book. So outside of the money end of things, the study revealed actually that your level of happiness or the candidate's level of happiness didn't go up after they reached a certain level of income.
That was very interesting.
Which was to cover your bases. So in the US at the time was once you reach 75 grand a year, that was it. As in your happiness level didn't increase massively when you went towards the millions and more zeros.
Can I just ask something, because that was a little bit ambiguous for me on the episode? It was like 75,000 today or 75,000 1938, because 1938 that would be over a lot of
it's
money.
By today's, it has to be today's
okay,
standards.
Yeah,
so
that would
I
make
mean
sense.
that's covering your bases. So when we're out of that stressed idea of, oh my god, inflation, or we've got to cover the bills, that sucks. Everyone has to get their bases covered. But when you get to a point of I don't need to worry about that, it seems that for most people the happiness actually came from the relationships that they had cultivated in their lives. That was the most important takeaway from the whole study.
So you already gave the whole story of the whole episode.
Yeah, I want to get to the point.
I cannot believe you did that.
Exactly, because this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly what the key takeaway from the
a list of things that I want to talk. But okay, so you already said it. Okay, you already spilled the tea.
This is exactly what the essence of happiness is, apparently. Relationships, not the quantity, the quality of the relationships, and the quality of coffee you give your relationships, so that shifts their state into a better state of balance, so they don't give you a dig under the table for doing the mistake. When you're
married to a Brazilian, you never know, Eric. There's always a surprise element to the thing, to the mix. No, but I think that was very important. It's like the relationship is very important. Like you said, when a person reaches a certain level of covering its bases, but being able to live as well, because I think it's important. If you just pay the bills, you are always going to be stressful, because you're going to be living paycheck to paycheck, which is also not a good place to stay. So if you are there right now, think about ways that you can actually work on your time off to be able to build, to not depend on your paycheck to paycheck. But that is important to think, because after what he said was like, after you increase from 75 upwards, the difference in level of happiness did not increase significantly. Actually, in many cases, the people that were more well off, they were wealthy, they had a lot of money and everything, seem sometimes to be the unhappiest ones. That's actually what they concluded, was that most of the happiest people that they found on their studies were people that didn't even finish high school. They didn't even have like the degrees. They didn't have like all this kind of piece of papers and these, they didn't, let's just say they didn't have all the things that we envision to be what success is. They had a happy life relationship, they have family, they had close friends. And one thing that he said that was part of the study as well that clicked with me, it was a test that they did, that they said, write down the name of people that you could call at any time of the day and night, and they would be ready to help you at blink of an eye, like whoever it is. At 2 a.m. in the morning, you say, I need your help, they would come. And they said that was so touchy to see how many people that didn't have anyone the least, and they were even married. They could not count even on their wives. So just because you're married, that's another thing that really stood up for me, is like your marital status doesn't count. Just many people say like, oh no, I need to have a partner.
What do you mean it doesn't count?
Like, that's what he
said. Why are you so low in the frame? Bring your chair up there, love.
No, I like to stay low.
It's like the hierarchy over here, No,
that's okay. I was
going to say, bring you up here.
But it's just like they were saying, like, there is people that is happy single, and there are people that are happy with their marriage if they are with a partner that is a supporter, because there's a lot of marriages that are not good together. They are simply toxic, and that's another thing that he was saying. It's like, you have a first marriage, doesn't work out, and then you think on your second one it's going to be that one. Not necessarily. Sometimes that person just doesn't go very well with other people because he always select the wrong ones, like the people that are not good to be married with. And so I thought that was very interesting because many people that I know that we are married, so it doesn't count on that kind of.
Are we? That's what we are?
10 years almost, Eric, you know that. But it's almost like many people that I know that is on our age have this kind of like, I need to find a partner. I'm 30 something. I need to get married. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's not what's going to bring your happiness. It's like what he was saying. When you picture something that I'm going to be happy when I get that. And then when you get that, you just have that realization of like, I'm actually not happy. Like, that's not what it was. So I think that's very important. Like, who do you have in your life? Write in a list. Who do you have in your life that you could write down? You could call that person if you need help at any time of the day or night to ask for help. Who would be there for you? And cultivate their relationship, because it's the relationship they're going to give meaning to you, and you're going to fulfill you with happiness as well. Another thing that he said is about people that have purpose. You know, like
I just don't go down that rabbit hole just yet. I want to touch on something there, because I know when you're off on one, when the caffeine and the reishi kicks in combined, it's a powerful force.
Right,
I wanted to come back around to this because Ed Milet is the podcast, and I recommend you listen to Ed because he's got some great guests on there, and he's such a passionate guy. You know, he actually he made his millions in network marketing, funnily enough.
Oh, Ed Milet.
Well, not funnily enough, but that's what he did, was network marketing to begin with, and then became an investor. And now he's got other passions, and he's a great podcast. I think he's a #1 podcast in the world actually now. But either way, what he was talking about was really important and landed with me, was the substance and the quality of the relationships that you keep. And if you feel that you are behind in cultivating relationships with people, and every time you're having interactions with people, it's about getting things done. It's about, I'm in a relationship with you so I can leverage you in some way, or I can get to a goal because you are there. So rather than spending time with the person and asking them questions about how they are, what's going on in their lives, maybe you'll never see that person ever again. Did you ever think about that? You know, I was so grateful that the week or so before my dad died, I agreed to go for a beer with him. And it was snowing that night, and it wasn't an ideal situation. I was working later. I got back later. I surprised my dad to say, "Hey, Dad, listen, are you still going up for the beer?" And he's like, he'd already expected me to say no because it was snowing and it was a little bit later.
And they live in a village, so it's like it's not like an easy access to the pub. So just
so I said, no, bullshit excuses out of the way. No, weather is weather. You're here, you're now, you're alive, you're breathing. Reach out to the people that matter to you. Don't just leave it to when it's convenient. All right, because you may never see them again. You don't know what's going to happen. All right. And I don't want to get too harsh on this or too serious, but you don't want to have regrets. Someone goes, you don't want to have regrets, because that's going to pull on your happiness for the rest of your goddamn life. So I was so happy to sit there with my dad, having a beer and just asking, no phone, no nothing, just me and him asking questions. And I loved how he lit up, because he was thinking about things he hadn't thought about in years, and maybe questions I even asked him that he hadn't even been asked before. And I was really genuinely interested. I was like, you used to do that? Like, how did you were basically doing barman and security in a pub while working in a store, which is around groceries.
And your dad was so happy, wasn't it? He was a very happy man, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was.
At least, like, I always felt happiness coming from him. Like,
yeah, I mean, everyone has their down moments, but yeah, I think for the most part, like, he had that energy of happiness, and he wanted to kind of leave people with that feeling of happiness and increase. But what I left that conversation with was a sense of greater happiness from both of us. And when the moment I learned that he'd just gone, I was immediately like distraught.
It was something.
But then came back to a moment of, I'm so glad I spent that time. I'm so glad I made time. So what Ed talks about in his podcast was, if you schedule time for your hair, or you schedule time for your business, or you schedule time for your football games, or whatever it is, why aren't you scheduling time to spend consistently with people that matter the most to you?
Yeah.
So I always even said to Isa, is like, we have a massive goal this year. We want to impact the lives of 100,000 people. That's going to bring a huge ripple of positivity around the people that are connected to us. It's going to bring a huge ripple of income for us, a huge ripple of potential for us to have more abundance. But are we really going to be happy with ourselves and where we are as a relationship? Are we taking the time to talk to our mom, talk to our dad, talk to our siblings, talk to our friends?
And do a couple things as well.
And do a couple things.
Summer's just coming.
Summer's coming. So, there's going to be a whole lot more half nudity going on up in here.
It has started already. Yeah. Once Eric starts taking off the top, he doesn't going to put on until it's winter again.
Why am I even wearing a top?
No, come on, Eric. No.
Jesus Christ. So that was one of the biggest things, guys. And hey, guys, if you're just coming in, welcome. We want to. Hey, Amber. Hey, Michael. Great to see you guys. Hey, Decois. Okay, or Deck. Maybe. Deco. Just wanted to
Deck is awesome. Deco is awesome.
Deco is awesome. Nice.
You awesome.
You kicked the camera, by the way, as well.
Did I?
Let me go back here. It's all right. She's just wrecking the whole studio. But that was probably the biggest takeaway from that call was, are you spending time cultivating relationships?
Yeah.
Because I don't think when we get to the end of our days, from that book as well, The Top 10 Regrets of the Dying, I don't think people will be laying there going, oh, I really should have hit that extra zero on the company.
Actually, no. This is one thing that they say as well in the episode, is like one of the biggest regrets, because of course 1938 is such a long time of the study, so a lot of them passed. And one of the things that they say is that the biggest regret that people had is like, I spent way too much working and very little time with my family, and I wish I would go back and spend more time with the people that matter to me. So keep that in mind, okay? I know that that's very difficult, and I can say that by my own experience, that because we have this big goal, I can get a little bit too workaholic and just kind of like think about work all the time. But we have to stop and look to where we are right now and remember where we were before with this small little window that we had in our bedroom, and see where we are right now and appreciate the time that we have here, because we weren't here a few years ago. It was a completely different life. So I think that's very important. And I think this summer, it's going to be a different summer than ever before.
You're going to have to watch that back and record the audio of yourself saying that.
Yes, I know. And I'm going to have that as a mantra for me, so then I can remember every single time. But yes, and like I was saying, the next one was about purpose. And you just mentioned that we have a mission. We have like this purpose we are driven to get. That brings a lot of happiness. Yeah, because we are touching people's lives, people's health, and we are seeing the difference that it's happening because of we made the commitment of making it happen. So having a purpose, don't be just like a wake up to go to work, to pay bills, to come back home, to be tired, to make dinner, to feed my kids and go to sleep again, and so on and so forth, and repeat.
Well, if that brings you absolute happiness and you feel content with that, great. Because success is different for everybody, so happiness is different for everyone. If you get to the end of your day and you feel like a success, then you are a success. But the biggest thing is not, like you mentioned, is not to get caught up in the go get at the cost of not having nurtured relationships. And I see that with, you see kids that become a little bit more distant from their parents because they're working all the time. They're not there to play with them as much as it could be, or they don't have the physical health or the energy to come back after an 8 or 10-hour shift and just be like, boom, I'm here, I'm present. So that's another commitment towards your happiness. And from the study that was pulled was, I know you wanted to mention this, wasn't it?
No, that's your
was
that's your side.
The likeliness, no, it's our side. The likeliness of, or the probability of someone being happier had a direct connection to the level of health and vitality that person was. Because at the end of the day, as Bob Proctor beautifully highlighted in his work, was thoughts become feelings, feelings become actions, actions become results. But what triggers thoughts is chemistry, is what chemistry are you rolling on right now? What software are you running on? Are you running on Windows 98, or are you running on what's the Windows 14 or whatever it is? Whatever Mac is running. I don't know that.
Mac's no Windows, but that's okay.
I know it's not Windows. This is not a technology thing. I'm saying, are you eating well? Are you reading? Are you spending time with mindfulness techniques of breathing? Are you moving your joints? Are you making anti-stressed or de-stressing a priority for you in your life, not when it's convenient. Because I can tell you what's not convenient is illness and disease and things that will take you out before your time. So make it a priority now so you don't become oh my God, I've got to fix the situation. So prevention is much better than cure. Make that a priority and schedule it into your routine. Like we were saying with relationships, schedule that into your week. And if you're not good at, writing things down, which I've struggled with writing things down, everyone has, because when we're in school, it's like, write things down, okay. And then when you get out of school, you're like, I don't want to write things down. That reminds me back at school. But when you understand the reason for writing things down, is this will help get me more organized. This will help me become more productive, more happy in myself.
And I don't trust my memory.
No,
you need to take it down.
As one of our coaches, Dad, would always say, a short pencil is better than a long memory. So write stuff down, because then you can go, oh, did I get that done? Great. Yeah. If I didn't, I'll get it done next week.
And I think that's better said as well, because I have experienced that myself. I had myself go kind of like during the winter. I was like, too lazy, it's too cold, I have to go walk into the gym, I don't like it. So I kind of stopped training consistently. And of course, once the heat start coming back, I kind of have the feeling of like, okay, bikini season is coming up, I need to get back training. And I just started like 2 weeks ago, and I'm feeling great.
I want you to talk about your happiness cycle with that.
Okay.
Because the biggest takeaways, as you mentioned from the study, guys, is relationships, your health, your income. Look, some people will argue and say, oh, well, yeah, you say I'm not going to be happy after 75 grand a year. Give me $1 million. I'll show you how happy I can be. There's exceptions to every rule, but the true line was, once you had your bases covered and some extra to do extra things and had more time with your family, most people in that study were happier. But I want you to talk about your journey with your happiness and some real shit. What is some of the stuff that you've been going through that not only has Reishi helped with, but your interest in personal development to help you overcome some of that dark shit? Because that's not, we don't have perfect lives. Everyone has moments where it's like, oh, I don't want to get out of bed, or I don't feel like doing something. But I want not getting too.
No, but it's not like something that I hide. Well, I used to cover that up. Like I had eating disorder for a long
Well, I wasn't mentioning about that, but
but that was some sort of like me trying to achieve something. And then whenever I have that body, I'm gonna be happy. But I was never happy because I was never achieving what I thought I wanted. And then I started with you. I opened up. First person that I ever was true to who I was at the time. I opened up with Eric, and he helped me overcome my fear of food and everything else. Reishi helped me tremendously with my anxiety, and also with my digestion. But it really helped me was when I started training more consistently, even though I was already older. Let's just say it's not something that was in my DNA. Like I don't need to train. It's not something that I need. Like Eric, if you just stay 3 days not training, guys, seriously, like it's kind of like, get out of here, go for a run, get the heck out of here.
The beast has to be let out of the cage.
I'm not like that. But what happens is I start to just go down on my training. My self-esteem goes down as well. I don't feel so great. So I think the combination of everything, the combination of a good, healthy lifestyle when it comes to eating, the combination with Reishi that helps me every single day to keep myself in tune with my body. I listen to my body, and I am have a lot less anxiety because of it. And training. Like the last 2 weeks, I have been so much more productive, so much more like go, 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 go. I'm more present. I'm more aware. My energy levels are going up as well. And I feel overall amazing. Like it's very good. And I have like a guide as well. You gave me my training. So now I have like the structure. That's it. The structure is important as well. Otherwise, you're kind of like just trying to, if you're not a trainer yourself, you're just kind of like trying to wing it. They're just like, oh, well, yes, what I feel like today. So I think that's very important.
Structure is important, guys. So look, you know what? Two calls to action for you. All right. If you're up for a challenge and you want an assignment and you're teachable and coachable, number one, reach out to those people in your life that really mean something to you and arrange time to spend with them, whether it's once a week, once every 2 weeks, whatever it is.
One-to-one or via Zoom. Like I have loads of people that mean, but that's what he said. I have a lot of people that means a lot to me that maybe wouldn't be able to swim a whole ocean if I needed at 2 a.m., but they are in Brazil. So I cannot just like simply like, hey, let's hang out. So a Zoom call once a month, if that has to be, but if you're in the same city, try to do that one-to-one, go for a coffee, go for a walk, go for doing something so you can at least catch up to know what life's going on, like what's going on in their lives. I think that's very important.
Your other assignment, if your game, is take one extra step, just one thing that you can do that can move you towards better health.
Yes.
And make it a discipline, not a motivation. Motivation isn't worth shit, right? Discipline will outwork motivation 7 days a week. All right. Motivation depends on how you feel. Discipline is based on a decision that you've committed to, regardless of whether you feel like it or not. Now, there are exceptions to that rule. One exception is you've been badly injured.
Oh my God,
and you've just kicked the camera again. That's all right. So, whoa, we're not being hit by
that one person that is dead. I want to know who you are.
All right.
I want to apologize because I'm kicking you.
It's all right.
Not you.
Just
damn.
Stop having happy feet there, love.
Sorry.
All right. So take an action towards your health. Where was I? I got a bit lost now. We were hit by an earthquake there all of a sudden. Take an action towards your health. Yeah, discipline. That's what I was saying. Discipline. And then another thing. Yeah. Discipline, guys, is worth so much more than motivation. Forget about motivation. I was speaking to a coaching client recently. You don't get motivated. You get committed to a decision you've made long after the emotion to do it has gone away. That's the difference between discipline and motivation. So don't rely on feeling good about it. Get emotionally attached and inspired by the person you're becoming and the action that you decide to take. Is the action? Here's a question for you. When you go out to take on your day tomorrow, ask yourself, is what this camera's moving? It's like a periscope. Is the action because I'm split the lenses all over here. Is the action I'm going to take, is it bringing me close? Just leave the camera there, honey. Just stop doing that there. Is the action I'm about to take going to bring me closer to or further away from my happiness or the person I want to become? And then be very real with yourself and cut the shit. All right. Don't buy your own BS. Is your action that you're doing taking you closer to or further away from the person you're inspired to become? All right. And be very real with that. If you can identify one thing that will move you towards your health tomorrow, would you work on one thing at a time? All right. Be kind to yourself, one thing at a time. And I think that's going to be a real gift. And I hope this live for you guys has reminded you of, if the hustle is going and you're doing all the thing and you're great, but take it back a peg. Who are the people in your life that if they were to just be gone, that you would have regrets that you didn't spend more damn time with that person, asking them questions, taking a breath, putting your phone away, and just being present? Because I can guarantee you guys, you don't want those kind of regrets. And one last thing on that, maybe arrange to interview some of your family. Sit down with your smartphone and have a conversation with them and record them. Record it on purpose. Record it on purpose because you never know when they're no longer going to be there. So that's another challenge for you on the side. Record your conversations with family. Ask them questions because that's gold for you to have for the rest of your life. So, honey, any closing comments?
No, I think you'd finished it very well already.
All right. 3 calls to action. Who are the people? Schedule in time. 1 step towards your better health. Last one is arrange an interview. All right. So, hope that makes sense. I hope you enjoyed today's live. It was a bit long. It was a bit crazy.
He said like 15 minutes, we're going to be done, babe, because I'm looking
15 minutes.
Oh, here
When we get
30
Reishi
minutes
coffee
after.
into ourselves, 15 minutes just goes like
Forget
15
about
minutes
it.
is forget about it.
Forget
It's the
about it.
warm-up. It's just the warm-up. All right, guys, you're beautiful. Go continue to be beautiful. We see you guys in the airways soon. Love to you all. Ciao for now.
Bye. Oh my God. Do you want to share?
Yeah, go ahead. Well, broadcast is ending.